I just didn't want to like pretend that everything was okay and make these videos about like the Matrix versus the Prius and like my favorite camping foods and stuff like that, when inside it feels like I'm on the verge of like, I don't know, simultaneously giving up on everything and just like wanting to sleep forever. As you guys may have heard in my past videos, my father passed away a week and 1 day from today, from the actual time that I'm filming this. And since then, I've went on a road trip, like a 2-day road trip, and I'm also spending 3 days here camping on this island. And I just wanted to be transparent with you guys because obviously my father didn't pass, and I was just like, okay, time to go camping. And I just wanted to talk about like what I'm going through emotionally and mentally and even physically, where I'm at, and just like how I've been feeling, I guess. I wanted to start off by saying that I haven't even edited my last videos. So I filmed them, but I haven't edited them because I just don't have the energy yet. But my intention with them is to do a voiceover of the letters that I've written him in the last week. That's just kind of, I don't know, that's my vision for the videos that are going to be out before this one. And where was I going with all of this? In those letters, I talk about how being on the road is where I feel the most connected to my dad. Me and my dad were very, very, very close. I would call him every day, if not every second day, on the phone on my way home from work, which is like a 30-minute drive. So I talked to him like all the time, and I just feel like we had a really special relationship, and I feel like him and I we were very similar in the sense of our adventuring and our like love for the road, and I don't know, just our passions. Like they were all very much the same, and it felt like me and my dad were almost like the same person. I interviewed him in one of my past videos, and he talked about his love for the road, which you might have seen. I know I got a lot of good positive feedback on that video, and a lot of people really enjoyed meeting him in that video. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about who my dad was. I got this tattoo, Enjoy the Ride. It's my dad's writing. It was written in one of his journals that he wrote while he was doing his cross-country trip from where I am around the Montreal area all the way south to Florida, then all the way west to California, back up north towards BC, and then all the way back towards Montreal. So he had written a journal during that time, and he had given it to me, and I got that tattoo, Enjoy the Ride. It was a bike trip, by the way. So I know I'm a little bit all over the place. My thoughts are still kind of scrambled in my head. The last week has been very intense for me. My dad passed away very suddenly. I wasn't expecting it at all. I was kind of like the first one that was was worried, I guess, because I hadn't heard from him for a full day, which wasn't normal because I talked to my dad by text multiple times a day, and I call him at the end of every day. So when he wasn't answering my texts and wasn't answering my calls, it was very alarming, and I automatically kind of knew something was wrong. And the way that it was confirmed to me that like the way his passing was confirmed to me was by the police knocking on my door at about I would say 10:30, almost 11 o'clock at night, and I had a complete breakdown. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but when you get news like that, it's like your soul or your spirit wants to like leave your body. And when I opened the door and the police were there, all I wanted to do was like run as far as I could, like get out of there. And I just ran through my house. Like I ran to the kitchen, I ran to the back rooms, and then when I realized there was nowhere to run, I just like locked myself in the bathroom and had a breakdown. It was obviously a lot on me emotionally, physically, mentally. I wasn't expecting my dad passing. He was honestly like my best friend. He really understood me in ways that I felt not many people really understood me. I think that all of my siblings felt like that. My dad always had our back and was always ready to support us in the things that we wanted to do with our life. And to see that, like, he always saw the bigger, like, our potential, even though we weren't on like the usual path. Like none of us really went to college or university and got like a career or anything like that. So he was always so okay with that. When I even quit college, he was like, I called him and he was like, it's about time, Tris. And I was like, wow, like that was just such a nice thing to hear, because I was nervous, obviously, but he trusted in my vision even more than I trusted in it at the time. So yeah, he was just like a really big supporter to me. He always had my back. And the passing was very, very hard. Through this last week or week and a half, I have come to learn a few things about grief that I wanted to share with you guys. Because I feel like it's really weird to just be like, my father passed, and then start making videos about adventuring and stuff. Like I explained, this is what makes me feel most connected to him. I feel like he's literally here camping with me. I feel like he's in the car with me when I'm driving on my road trips, which is why I went on the road trip. There's a mosquito in the tent, so I'm just gonna kill that. So yeah, so I've learned a couple of things in the last week that has felt like a million years about grief, and that's what I wanted to share. The first thing that I learned is that we all handle grief differently. I feel like if you were to just look at me right now, like living my life, like I said, camping and road tripping, you'd be like, she's not grieving, like she's not sad, or she's running away from it, or I don't know, she's putting on like a fake kind of persona or whatever for YouTube, or I don't know. But I feel like there is definitely like a way of looking at it that is 0% accurate. So yeah, I just realized that there's different ways of processing it. So I have a very large family, and I think we're all processing it in a different way. I went to a spinning class a couple of nights ago, and I wanted to like break down as soon as I got there. But as I was doing the class and my heart rate was reaching like 200 beats per minute, all I could think was that I was doing this for him, and my heart was beating for him, if that makes sense. So I think that's also a way of processing. And I think that, like, for me, I process it by going out into nature, and I feel like nature is really, really healing, and that's just what's been working the best for me, to be able to like process all my emotions and heal from everything. Speaking of healing, what's also really helped me, I don't have it with me, it's over on the bench right now, but writing has been so therapeutic for me. I bought a journal that's leather because my dad loved like leather journals, and I have been writing in it as if he was still here, and I like write to him every single day. I talk about what happened in my day, how I'm feeling, any thoughts that I had, and it makes it feel like he is still here, which is very comforting. Another thing too that I kind of realized is that people's beliefs, like about spirituality or life after death or what happens once you die, all of those things kind of play into how you process things. For example, I believe in reincarnation, and I don't believe our spirits ever like just die. I think that they go back up to the collective for a little bit, and they get to kind of take a deep breath, because life on earth can be pretty chaotic. And then I do think that they come back as something new. For me, with that belief, I feel like he's still here. I feel like he still hears me. I feel like he's coming back. I feel like I'm going to find him again soon. Maybe not like in a day or two, but maybe in 10 years or something. I feel like I'll run into him again, and it'll feel so familiar. And that has kind of helped me process things as well, as just like believing that he's still here. I maybe lost like the physical form of him and the identity of him that I knew, like my dad with really blue eyes and the eagle tattoo and everything. But his essence is still here, and his spirit is still here, and he still loves me, and I'm still gonna see him again someday. So that's what's really been like helping me get by and not get too lost in the sadness, along with also trying not to spend too much time on like Facebook and Instagram, because I feel like those platforms, although they're healthy, not healthy, but helpful, to like remember him by and share pictures and kind words, at the same time they do also just focus on the loss. And I don't necessarily want to see this as we lost him and that's it. I want to see this as a journey to find my way back to him, if that makes sense. The next thing that I learned was about condolences, and like people offering their sympathie, their sympathies. I don't know if you can say that in English, but I realized how helpful that is. In the past, like if I knew that somebody lost somebody, but I wasn't that close to them, or I didn't know the person, I never used to offer them my condolences, because I just felt like they don't really know me very well, so what's the point? But now, as I'm going through this I've gone through it. I've lost my grandparents, but this is the first time that it's someone like in my immediate family. So now that I'm going through it so like intensely, I'm realizing that those condolences really help, and just being in people's thoughts and knowing that other people are there for me and they're feeling for me, that really, really helps. So that's just something that I learned. So from now on, I'm always offering my condolences. Like here on out, I see how important it is. Final thing that I wanted to talk about, that I've kind of been, that's kind of been brought to my attention over the last week again, is I kind of labeled it like guilt and the circle of life. When my dad passed, I felt guilty. I felt like it was my fault. He wasn't feeling well the 2 days prior to his passing, and I was one of the only people who knew about it, if not the only person who knew about it. And I honestly thought he had COVID or that he was just sick with a virus. And I didn't do anything about it. So I felt really, really guilty. I felt like it was my fault that he passed, that I should have called the hospital. I should have done something. And then once I saw my boss, who is a doctor, she was just explaining to me that like there was no way of preventing it. And even if he had gone in, it might have been too advanced kind of thing. Like the aneurysm might have been too advanced to even be able to stop it. By the time he got into surgery and they diagnosed the problem and all that stuff, like it might never have even been able to be prevented. So it definitely wasn't my fault, and it was really nice hearing that. And I also had to keep reminding myself that at the end of life, death is what's waiting for all of us, and I can't prevent it forever. Everyone is going to pass, and if it wasn't last week, it might have been in a year, it might have been in 2 years, it might have been in 6 months. Like I can't prevent it forever. And so just like accepting the circle of life, and that passing away is part of it, has really helped me to like remove the guilt from myself. I think that from what I've researched and stuff, I think that guilt is something that we all feel when someone passes, someone that's close to us. Like we could have prevented it, we could have done something so that they wouldn't have met that fate, you know what I mean? But like I said, at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's certain, as we hear all the time. So coming to terms with this circle of life is really hard. I have a really hard time accepting death. I cry about it a lot. I'm really nervous, not to actually die, but to like leave Earth, because I love Earth so much, and to leave behind my loved ones. So yeah, like the circle of life is something that I have a really hard time accepting, and death and everything. So it's something that I'm trying to work on, because it just is, and we don't have any control over it. And I think that as people, we often want to have control over everything, which we can't. It's impossible. So surrendering is vital, I would say, I guess, in these circumstances and in the whole life, death, life cycle. And I say life, death, life because I do believe that we're going to come back to life. And so that's it. That's kind of what I've been going through emotionally, mentally. Obviously this just touches like the tip of the iceberg. Like there's so much more to grieve. There's so much more that I'm feeling, that I'm experiencing, and it's really, really, really hard. I just didn't want to like pretend that everything was okay and make these videos about like the Matrix versus the Prius and like my favorite camping foods and stuff like that, when inside it feels like I'm on the verge of like, I don't know, simultaneously giving up on everything and just like wanting to sleep forever. And then you might ask, like, so then why are you making these videos? And the answer is I make them because they make me happy and they make me feel better, and I don't want to give up on my dreams. And I don't think my dad would ever want me to give up on my dreams. I mean, he had a dream of making websites and writing books and everything, and he would never want me to give up on my dreams of making these videos. So that's why I keep going, so that I can live, so he can continue to live through me as his daughter. So yeah, that's all for now. Thank you guys so much for listening, for being there, for supporting, for subscribing, all of those things. I will see you in the next video for sure. Bye guys.